93 seconds to 9:30 a.m. in the EST Hawk Island. 93 seconds to 9:30 a.m. The stock market opens, I ain't got no money to invest, but grateful, thankful that I got food to cook and continue to work out, train, exercise for dedicated to the workers as an independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist, AAA plus, geopolitical analyst and theorist, world peace advocate, philosopher, poet, world's greatest living, dancing millennial rainbow poet, calling all willingly loving. Onions and eggs and a can of spaghetti. Holy sacred divine butter, holy sacred divine butter, holy sacred divine butter. Grate some cheese, grate some cheese, grate some cheese. I'll open this can of spaghetti and tomato sauce with cheese, spaghetti and tomato sauce. Past the expiry date, but it's still good. Past the expiry date, but it's still good. Past the expiry date, but it's still good. To be continued. Pause for 5 or so minutes, 10 minutes. Welcome. We have resumed. We're gonna go live on Facebook, and we're gonna continue this rock and roll with a cup of coffee. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. It is 10:24 a.m. in the EST in the morning. Hawk Island, Montreal. Yours truly, Adrian H. Adrian Hana Dragan with a cup of coffee. First and foremost, before I proceed, I want to be meditating and articulating the fact that I am grateful, thankful that my rent is paid for the month of August and that my electricity bill is also paid. I've fulfilled my obligation, duty, and responsibility to pay my bills. I'm grateful, thankful that I got this cup of coffee and grateful, thankful that my rent's paid for August. And I was able to cook on a budget. This 6 eggs, 3 onions, and a can that I had from a donation from Food Security, which I've put to good use. Now I've tasted before it, so I wasn't sure that to make sure that it hasn't gone bad, and it hasn't gone bad. So as a matter of fact, after I do this cup of coffee, I'm gonna be having me some lunch, which I cooked for breakfast. Although it's gonna be my reward after I do a little bit of an hour of reading. But before I do an hour of reading, we're gonna be reading on the Russian invasion of Ukraine on the Wikipedia article titled such, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. We're going to be reading on the 2022 older environmental disaster and on drought, specifically on drought, since this year it has been heat waves, record-breaking heat waves, and of course drought, which is simplifying or summarizing it, is the lack of rain, which causes drought in parallel or at the same time the lack of rain, precipitation, also the combination of heat waves and extremely high temperatures in combination with lack of rain causes drought, which can be very serious in terms of food production and devastation of crops. So we're going to be reading on the Wikipedia articles on the older environmental disaster which has occurred in Europe, and of course which is linked to the heat waves of Europe and European drought. And right here in Hawk Island, Montreal, meditating on the fact, of course, that Hawk Island, Montreal is surrounded by a big river, and that of course it is raining at this moment in time. And of course I was able to cook well when I started cooking, and just before, about 93 seconds before 9:30 a.m. in the morning, when the stock market opened. And I'm calling on, if anybody makes a million, if you make a million on the stock market today, please finance for food security. Give at least 10%, give at least 10%, give at least 10%. If you make a million on the stock market today or during the week. But for all I know, I don't have any money to invest in a financial crisis myself, although open for business. And with a new CV, Adrian H. Dragan died during COVID. My new CV curriculum vitae is going to be simple, straightforward, and direct. I've put in more philosophic, artistic, poetic, physical with my workouts, and spiritual and intellectual and academic work than all the leaders of the free world combined, all the leaders of NATO countries, prime minister, presidents combined during COVID, while also marched in steel-toe boots in Hawk Island more than all the generals of NATO combined during COVID. Yours truly, Adrian H. Dragan, put in more philosophical, artistic, poetic, spiritual, intellectual, academic, and physical work during COVID than all the leaders of NATO combined, while at the same time marched in steel-toe boots more than all the leaders of NATO combined during COVID. Again, my new CV is going to be simple. Died during COVID, triple vaccinated. Please increase in hygiene. Wash your hands with soap and disinfectant with hand sanitizer. If you go in a bank, if you go in a grocery store, if you go in a mall, if you go in a place that is not your private domain, right here, my private domain. I say once again that my new CV curriculum vitae is died during COVID, being reborn during COVID, and I have put in more philosophical, artistic, academic, intellectual, spiritual, physical work with my workouts. I have some brain and some muscle, have some brain and some muscle, have some brain and some muscle, created my own workout. And of course I am calling for all willingly loving to support the implementation of my trinity of theories, which I've written over the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years or so, and which I have been giving in the past days, weeks, and months in a compendium, in an oral verbal communication matter. What my trinity of theories is all about is, of course, I am here on this 23rd of August in this 10:28 a.m. Not perfect, far from it. I get moody, get upset. As a matter of fact, last night I was a bit moody. I get upset. I paid my rent, my fulfill my obligation, duty, and responsibility to pay my rent in full, coupled with to pay not only my rent but the electricity bill. So that obligation, duty, and responsibility has been fulfilled. We have duties, obligations, and responsibilities when we step outside in the public sphere. Right now, I'm in my private Dragon's Lair, private office temple, where I write poetry, aspire to write children's books. I actually wrote at least 3 children's books, of which I'm hoping to publish ASAP. I'm looking for volunteer supporters with all my artistic writing, creative writing, and of course advocacy, world peace advocacy, and of course the general work. Adrian, Dragan's my own work, and androgynous pansexual founder of the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, the intellectual academic work, and of course as I'm calling for the implementation of my trinity of theories known as citizen integration theory, fusion theory, and democratic fusion theory, ASAP, for the creation of the 2 complementary and covenant institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, to be for service and security based on my principles and philosophy, to be integrated with all existing public and private security forces and organizations, local, Hawk Island, Montreal, Canada, of course, or throughout first and foremost the collective North American civilization, which of course is one of my original theories. I do believe it, that North America of course constitutes a collective civilization, meaning a civilization that's based with common denominators, different common denominators, which of course was spawned at the beginning of the Second World War as a direct response, and not only a response but a sort of reaction to the fact that Western civilization was at war within nation states within Western civilization were at war. And of course my theory, geopolitical theory, the global geopolitical theory, which is called the collective North American civilization, or the collective North American civilization, or you can put it in different ways, the North American collective civilization or the collective North American civilization. Either way we put it, the essence is fundamentally the same. Is that my proponent is that North America constitutes a collective civilization, not to be confused with collectivism, but a collective meaning a different elements which have common denominators, and which of course those common denominators are the infrastructure, the culture, and of course languages which are in common, which of course from Europe, if we compare the languages which exist in North America and Europe, of course there are many, but what I meant to say is in comparison to the population which speaks a language. Myself, of course, as a North American, although global LGBTQ citizen, I also speak English, and I've learned, of course, French here in Quebec. I am a Quebecer, I'm a French Canadian as well. I'm a North American, many past lives, many incarnations, born twice in the USA, that way 156 years ago, 718 miles from Hawk Island. Yours truly, Dragon Zero, served in the US Army. So I'm calling my brothers and sisters in the US as well in this late hour. It was, of course, with solutions which we gotta focus on. And I do admit that at some things I am mediocre. I do admit that at some things I am average. I do admit that at some things I am so guilty. Guilty. I'm not perfect. I don't play the self-righteous card as much as I'm a universal spiritual teaching student. I do have lust, get moody, get upset. Now that my rent is paid, my electricity bill is paid, and I'm able to do this video, I'm going to say thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you to the workers, past and present, tens of thousands, hundreds and thousands, maybe even millions, who since 1963, and 1963 is the current structure of Hydro-Quebec, which Hydro-Quebec is the power generating electricity, and I'm thankful, grateful that it is renewable, zero pollution, zero emission. This energy above my head, the light, the coffee maker, and of course this electricity that I'm using from the smartphone and this laptop is zero pollution, zero emission energy. Zero pollution, zero emission energy. Zero pollution, zero emission energy. So thank you, love you, kiss you, workers of the Hydro-Quebec. In the past, tens of thousands of workers who worked to build 63 dams across the province of Quebec. 63 dams across this province of Quebec. 63 dams are built across this La Belle Province. And me, of course, I speak and write poetry and write songs and sing and do art and philosophy in French, and of course speak some Spanish, learn some Spanish, so I could say the 3 main languages of the collective North American civilization. Hey, you need something? Yes, I opened the window though in the kitchen. Is that okay? That was my anonymous sister, who, if I make $1, I'll give her half. If I make $1, I'll give her half. If I make $1, I'll give her half. I don't have any dollars, any money, but kisses God by the trillions, 718 trillions of kisses. with some brain and some muscle. Don't play the self-righteous. I do less, get moody, get upset. I sometimes I'm intense, and I've been to depression, was suicidal, was down and out. One thing that I can encourage, if everybody made it so far in this video, whether on YouTube, gonna watch this on live on Facebook, is I encourage you to take the philosophy that the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose, and I encourage everybody to work out, to train, to exercise, which has been, is, and will continue to be medicine and therapy for yours truly, as I believe it is for many. Working out, training, and exercising has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice. I am proud to have created one of the most efficient, effective, and simple exercises, called, of course, officially the General War Integrated Total Body Training System, aka the Dragan Army Workout, of course, which I've created back in 2019, and it requires no equipment. It is effective, efficient, simple, requiring no equipment, and of course, it increases general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness. I've performed more than 270 sessions so far. Probably today, later on, we're gonna do another session, long one, special general integrated total body training system with special Dragan football, gridiron drills, CFL type, NFL type drills. So yours truly calling all willingly living to support the implementation of my trinity of theories in order to create the two complementary and covenant and cooperative institutions. My trinity of theories are known by citizen integration theory, death row fusion theory, and democratic fusion theory. And of course, I'm calling for their implementation, as yours truly has written these theories. As many years I've struggled, I've been, like I said, to depression, I've been suicidal, and with one foot in the streets, one foot in the libraries, I've made the libraries of Hawk Island, Montreal my second home, and I've read tens of thousands of books. I've also written or typed tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, analysis of a psychological nature, geopolitical nature, spiritual nature, and of course somewhat financials of reading tens of thousands of books, and I've written tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, art, poetry, songs, and of these theories which are born during those writings, and that encompass a lot of civilization and nature. And yes, civilization still has its discontents. Working out, training, exercising is my medicine and therapy. I have been and will continue to advocate for the mass financing of my brothers and sisters to work out, to train, and to exercise. And I have been calling for the public-private partnership, and of course the Dragan Army, which I'm calling the creation thereof from all existing public and private institutions and organizations, in order to encourage people to work out, to train, and to exercise. Encourage people to work out, to train, and to exercise. Encourage people to work out, to train, and to exercise, as the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And my rent is paid, so I can work out, exercise. I got food, grateful, thankful that I got food. I'm gonna say thank you, thank you. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you to the farmers who, as you see, I got some cucumbers local from Canada. I've used eggs for those who farm the eggs here in close by Hawk Island, Montreal, in Quebec, Canada. Of course, the eggs, and of course the onions. I put 3 onions, 6 eggs, and of course a can of spaghetti. So thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, all farmers of the collective North American civilization. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers and truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, construction workers, those building the infrastructure, that filling the potholes in my neighborhood in Hawk Island, Montreal. Thank you, love you, kiss you, sanitation workers of the city, those who collected the garbage yesterday, those who will collect the compost in the coming days, those who collected their recycling. So the sanitation workers of the cities of this collective North American civilization, the workers who collect the garbage, who collect the who collect the compost, who collect the recycling. Calling on the mayors of the cities of collective North American civilization, to offer them, to give them a hug, a kiss, or a massage or something, because massage is getting expensive, food is getting expensive, has been getting expensive. I am myself suffering, as a matter of fact, to make an interjection on a personal, economic, financial matter, with the fact that the Bank of Canada, which is the central bank, has increased the rate, the prime lending rate, what's called the lending rate, by 1 full basis point, which is called 100 basis points in the financial terminology. 1 full percentage point has also increased for millions the debt servicing, meaning debt servicing, the interest that we paid, because debt by itself is not necessarily negative or bad, as the interest which we pay, or the amount of interest in the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, after we have debt refusion put into the debt refusion theory put into implementation and put into practice and into application. We have 10% to be maximum on interest on all loans, is my principle. But now mine is the highest debt servicing, highest interest that I am paying on my debt at this moment in time, is the highest interest that I'm paying on my debt at this moment in time is also many credit card holders or mortgages. Some mortgages, not all, not the fixed ones, or some mortgages, some loans, business loans or commercial loans, student loans, credit cards, debt, or of course credit lines are all tied in with the central bank, just like in the U.S. the Federal Reserve, and across the North America, Canada, U.S. the prime lending rates of the central banks, or what's called the Federal Reserve, which is a de facto central bank, and of course Bank of England to fight inflation, since inflation is record high in Canada, U.S. and Eurozone and much of the world, and UK highest inflation rates in more than 4 decades, right, since the late 70s, early 80s, the highest inflation rate of my generation. I'm a millennial, of course, so we never lived this type of inflation, and of course I believe that my solution, debt refusion theory, is best at this moment in time, local, national and international for that matter of fact. Debt refusion theory simply is taking all debt, public and private debt. Even my private debt is 10,000 of, I'm represented by X, and all the private debt is represented by X. If I'm X1, you're X2, they are X3 with us, hundreds of thousands, millions, and perhaps hundreds of millions across North America and NATO member countries, Israel, and brothers and sisters in Africa, and those all willingly living to join. Of course, the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom is world peace, mission, international justice, and securing and ensuring global freedom. So, in briefly, debt refusion theory is taking all private and public debt, converting it, because we have to convert from Canadian dollars to US currency, and of course from Israeli new shekels, the Israeli new shekel, or Germany doesn't use Deutsche Mark anymore. It has the euro, the euro, the euro. So taking all the debt, private and public, of the cities, of the countries, of the individuals such as myself, $10,000 in debt. Yours truly, independent artist, independent athlete, independent activist, universal spiritual teaching student, geopolitical analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist, sexual analyst and theorist, and sometimes fusing both psychosexual analyst and theorist, and the world's greatest living dancing millennial rainbow poet who's not perfect. Got some issues, got some vices, got some lust. Channel and sublimate the aggression, my brothers and sisters. Those are keywords of my philosophy: social philosophy, spiritual philosophy, psychological philosophy, social, psychological, and physical, and even philosophical philosophy, or spiritual, sexual, physical philosophy. Channel and sublimate. Channel and sublimate. Channel and sublimate. If you have aggression, do push-ups, hawk squats. I admit I have aggression in me. I'm not, as a universal spiritual teaching student, I'm not on the highest levels of attainment. I am craving, lusting. I've been craving for a good massage therapy session. I'm calling on Tom Brady to come to a good neck rub to Dragan Zero. Gonna rate live on Facebook and Instagram to raise fundraise. Gonna rate Brady's hand game on the neck. Go Brady, girl. Let's see. Gonna get a 6, maybe gonna get a 7, maybe gonna get an 8 on the neck. Go. I'm gonna rate with rapping and rating and rapping and rating and rating and rapping Tom Brady's for world peace. And if anybody wants Dragon drills, special football drills, I am open for business. And Adrian Dragon is open for business. All willingly loving allies and armies are de facto family. All willingly loving allies and armies are my de facto family. My all willingly loving allies and armies are de facto my family. And calling all willingly loving to volunteer, support, join, and of course volunteer. And I'm work in progress, calling to develop the Dragon workout app, the Dragon Army workout app, and 1-800 number, which I have the 1-800 Dragon Army number for service and security, and integrated with all existing public and private institutions is my call. And of course, to finish on the debt refusion theory, I'm going to have a little bit of sip of coffee. I am grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee. I am grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee. I am grateful, thankful for this cup of coffee. And if it's, I guess, struck by lightning, I'm going to say the word Goddess, G-O-D-D-S-S, and the motto of the Dancing Goddess Army is that all ALL fruits, all vegetables, all legumes are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun. All the vegetables, all the fruits, all the legumes, all the grains, all the grain, all the vegetables, all the legumes, all the fruits are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun. Of course, the black fertile earth requires the water, and the rain and the sunlight. And the sun now is 10:43 a.m. in the EST on Hawk Island, Montreal, New York, Wall Street time. If you make a million on the stock market, please give 10% to food security. If you make a million on the stock market today, please give 10% to food security. If you make a million on the stock market today, please give 10% for food security. And this black coffee bean coming from a red berry was also made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun, who makes all fruits, vegetables, and legumes, and the wheat, the barley, of course, the corn, and all the fruits, vegetables, and legumes. But they are harvested, such as this black coffee, somewhere in Central America, maybe Honduras, maybe Cuba, maybe Costa Rica, maybe Panama, maybe Colombia, maybe Venezuela, or of course could be Argentina, Brazil, and most likely Brazil because it's the top exporter and producer. Could also be Vietnam in Asia, could also be Ethiopia in Africa, could also be Uganda, could also be Ivory Coast. Any of those countries does not indicate on the label, but do know that is dark roast, and do know that one of my brothers and sisters, farmers, harvested the coffee bean, and I'm grateful, thankful. Kiss your hands, anonymous farmer who harvested the beans, and production, and the truckers hug you, love you, kiss you, who transported it, and of course the grocery store clerks who put it on the shelves for me to grab it on special on a reduced price for £2, 908 grams is of course about £2, £2 more or less, £2, about £2, 908 grams is almost a pound, is what, 454 grams. So yes, I think it's exactly £2, right? 908 grams is exactly £2. Let's do the math. 454 plus times 2 is £2. 454, 908. So it's £2 of coffee. Got on special, 40% off. I have this coffee to fuel me to continue to this reading. In a little bit, we're gonna get to the reading. But again, I want to say that thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers. I'm gonna do a little bit of rapping. I do a little bit of rap, R-A-P. I do rap hobby sometimes, hobby rap, rap. As I, of course, fundamentally, I'm the world's greatest living, dancing, millennial rainbow poet. With some brain and some muscle, don't play it self-righteous. I get moody, get upset, part of the LGBTQ community, and LGBTQ throw it up, LGBTQ throw it up, LGBTQ throw it up. Sexual liberation has not come without blood, sweat, and tears for me personally. Has not come for many of my fellow LGBTQ family. Many are today millennials or other generations, older generations or younger generations who are struggling to come out. Say, yeah, I'm gay, I'm bisexual, I'm myself being pansexual, so I'm gay, bisexual, and inclusive. Being pansexual meaning that I'm also bisexual and gay. That's pansexual. So many are struggling to come out. You don't think that Kal Nassib is the only player in the NFL, right? There's hundreds of players in the patriarchal sports leagues. One on each team, minimum. One on each team, minimum. One on each team, minimum. In the NFL, National Football League, Kal Nassib is not the only one. The NHL, there is on each team. National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Me, I'm the people's athlete. Dragan Army, calling all willing and living to the Dragan Army, which is complementary, covenant, and cooperative to the Dancing Goddess Army. Like two sides to a coin. If you can, you gotta support the other. If you're gonna join or support or volunteer for one, you gotta take the Dancing Goddess Army, baby. Dancing Goddess, I say Goddess, Mother Nature, greatest artist. And the priestesses. The Pope. I don't know about the Pope. He's got his good pay, good money there in the Vatican. He doesn't have to cook for himself. Universal spiritual teaching student. Don't play the self-righteous card. And, to admit certain things of a psychological disposition, or that we're dealing with certain things, prejudice or repressed homoerotic desires or sexuality, being bisexual or sexual lust, sublimated channel. Ah, it's hygiene and consent, mutual understanding and love. That's all that's required. Principle that harm none. Consent, mutual understanding, hygiene, consent, mutual understanding, hygiene is really all that's required. Try to be less selfish. I'm not totally selfless. I'm craving a massage therapy. I wish I could afford it. I'm want to get a good bottle of wine. I want to get that good bacon. You know, I saw $9.99 for the bacon. I said, I said $9.99 for the bacon. I never seen such price for 500 grams. Bacon, $9.99. That bacon was $4.99. That bacon then went $5.49. It was $5.49, $5.99. It was $6.49 and $6.99. Then it went up to $9.99. So, am I seeing double? What am I seeing? $9.99. Saluting the firefighters, saluting the firefighters, saluting the firefighters. Maybe the firefighters need a good massage or a good hug. Can't afford it. Offer, offer, offer. People might say no to the services. People might, the Dragan Army to be of service and security, east, west, north, south. Application app, Dragan Army, 1-800 Dragan Army, service of security. What can I offer? I can cook. I can clean. I can massage. Learn massage therapy during COVID and in past lives. I can load up. I can read. I can write. Science, innovation, and technology, my parallel self, which I'm connecting to, I've been connecting during COVID, the parallel self, no satellites, microchips, smartphones, supercomputers, connecting with that parallel self where science, innovation, and technology, and satellites, and supercomputers, and microchips, and smartphones is chosen path. Gives me headaches, but my parallel self, hey, doing your workout lets me soar, and I'm not able to do it yet, just like I'm able to fully understand, be wise, understanding, and knowledgeable in my parallel self's development and building of satellites, supercomputer networks, and microchips and smartphones. 6G, he's in the 6G now, close to 7G in that parallel self future timeline. And I say I'm getting headaches from your 56,000 pages document. It says I'm getting sore and I'm not able yet to do the workout, but I'm getting better. So I'm getting more brains and he's getting more muscle, and we're connecting with each other. I'm getting more brains and muscle and he's getting more muscle from me. I'm getting more brains for him from the parallel self. Parallel self and crows. I love crows. Crows are cheering. The only one cheering and liking this video are the crows. Crows remind me of one of my secrets, that one day a week I'm a queen of spades. The crows remind me of one of my secrets. One day a week I'm a queen of spades. The crows remind me of my secret. That one day a week I'm a queen of spades. No need to hag me, Mr. RCMP, 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 CSIS, 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 Canadian Secret Intelligence Service, NSA, NSA, CIA, CIA, $10,000 in the, oh, I'm in debt, $10,000. I got, due to overdraft, I was able to withdraw. I'm already in the red, minus 500, more than about 540 in my bank account. So, but my rent's paid, my electricity bill is paid, and besides that 10,000 and that 540, I'm not in debt. I have no, I owe nobody nothing besides the $10,000 to the RBC and the 5,000 and the correction, the $540. I'm androgynous, pansexual. I dance, I rap, hobby rap, I philosophize. I'm calling on even the aforementioned CIA, FBI, RCMP, CSIS, and FS, not FSB now because they're former KGB, but MI6, and German Stasis are gone after November 1989. They were notorious, hardcore. Interesting historical that Germany was divided in East and West for more than 42 years. Germany was divided in East and West. For more than 42 years, Germany was divided into East and West, right? For more than 42 years. Mossad, more sad or most sad? Mossad. No need to spam me, I confessed one of my secrets, which the crows, the beautiful black crows reminding me again, which is one night a week out of every 7 days, especially on the Sabbath, Queen of Spades. Yes, I got tiny hands, tiny feet, a tiny little androgynous scar, dicklet. Now that we got that out of the way, we're gonna perhaps move towards a post-COVID system, economic, financial, commercial, political, social, environmental, spiritual, even and psychological and political system for pleasure and purpose, because that's what fundamentally I am calling for. A post-COVID economic, financial, commercial, spiritual, political, environmental, social, financial, commercial system for pleasure and purpose. Fundamentally, that's what I'm calling for via the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, is a to move by the implementation of my trinity of theories towards a post-COVID economic, financial, commercial, spiritual, environmental, political, social, psychological, and even spiritual system for pleasure and purpose. Purpose to attain harmony between the environment and nature. To attain harmony between the environment and nature. To attain harmony between the environment and nature. Harmony between the environment and nature by the implementation of my theories and the creation of the two complementary and covenant cooperative institutions of the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations, to be for service and security. After securing the three essential elements of civilization, food, housing, and transport, to work on the fourth dimension to that trinity, services, with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love, all services to be offered. What can a dragon do? And first, to be a dragon, you gotta be able to do my workout. That's the de facto examination and the de facto standard workout training program, operation training program. The General War Integrated Whole Body Training System, simple, effective, and efficient. I'm gonna go through the rules. The rules are simple, effective, and efficient. I've performed more than 270. By 300 sessions of that, you will reach a plateau of development, but until then, and even some thereafter, maybe even continuously, it increases general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness, my workout. These are the rules. You got 93 minutes to do 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hawks. That's 100 each, 100 for each trinity. Push-ups, hawks, squats, 100 for each. 100 push-ups, 100 squats, 100 hawks. 93 minutes to do them. 13 repetitions maximum per set, 3 minimum, anywhere in between 7, 6, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, 7, whatever the number is. Between 13 and 3, 7, 6, 8, 9, 10, whatever the number is. Between 13 and 3. Recommend 10. 10 is 10 times 10 is an easy count. A minimum of 31 seconds of marching or jogging or running or walking fast pacing between is required. So once you start the 93-minute countdown, there's no stop. There's no pause. There's no pause or stop. You gotta march or run or jog or walk fast pace. 31 seconds minimum in between each set. Whether you do 13 max or 3 minimum, anywhere in between. So In theory, you can start right away after the countdown, start at 93 minutes, do 13 push-ups. But after that, you gotta march or jog or run or walk fast pace, a minimum of 31 seconds in between that. And then within this combination, a myriad of combinations which one can do, and one can do a myriad of combination within these rules. So many different ways you can do it every time. I'm averaging about an hour. Those are the rules: simple, effective, and efficient. Do a video recorded of you doing within the rules, and my official volunteer representative for CLIL work. My official volunteer representative Red CLIL work will officially direct, instruct, and bless you in my name. My official volunteer representative Red CLIL work will direct, instruct you, and bless you in my name. If you're able to do it. Now you can be a supporter, support the world peace and international justice, global freedom, ensuring global freedom, and the one and only mission on operation of the Dragan army would be ensuring freedom, but ensuring freedom and securing freedom with some joy, with some action, because love is action is my philosophy. Love is action is my philosophy. Love is action is my philosophy. And action has been required for my own healing. My own healing and transformation, coming out from depression, being suicidal, from experiencing negative, low, depressed, suicidal. Action, working out, training, exercising has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. You want kisses, kisses God. Got some brain and some muscle with that. So the Dragan army, my vision for the Dragan army to be for security and service, with consent, mutual understanding, hygiene and love, and the principle that harm none. All services to be on the table for fellow supporters, allies, subjects of the Dragan army. Cleaning, cooking, painting, working out, helping with the children, taking them out for half an hour to work out, to train, to exercise, because they're driving parents crazy, to of course to do XYZ, to work out, to train, to exercise, to do push-ups, to do my workout, to work out, to train, to exercise, to do push-ups, to do workout, to clean, to cook, to read, to create, to read to the children, to help with a massage. Firefighters there, they need a massage, can afford it. So with accountability, with computers and on the applications and accountability, so that there's no abuse. So trucker, love you, but you can't ask for a massage 3 times a day there. Once a day after 6 hours, you cross the border, you're in Canada. Dragan armies, first collective North American civilization, for the collective North American civilization, collective North American civilization, and of course to make the deal of half an hour allocated. Say, I could use a massage. I have to drive 6 more hours after driving 6 with my truck full, driving from California all the way to Quebec, or whatever, from Quebec all the way to California, or from Mexico all the way to Vancouver, and make a pit stop at Dragan army somewhere, quarters, east, west, north, south, integrated, well existing public and private institutional organizations. Can I stop for, I'm going to make a pit stop for a coffee, can I get a half an hour massage or a neck rub, because my neck's killing me, my back's killing me, to be for service and security, 21st century, service and security. No shame, no abuse, and accountability. Like I said, you can't abuse to just ask for massages or cleaning or cooking 3 times a day there. Dragan army for service and security, integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations. Film or live stream, whatever. No shame, no guilt, just service and security. To do workout, to channel the aggression, encourage people to work out, train, exercise. Binational and multinational, international institution. To encourage people to work out, to train, to exercise, which has been, is, and will be my medicine and therapy of choice. Matter of fact, later today, most likely that I'm going to take some of that workout, medicine, and therapy. Encourage you to work out, train, exercise. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. Lost more than 77 pounds down. I'm locked in at 93 kilos, 205 pounds, locked in at 93 kilos, 205 pounds down. I'm locked in at 93 kilos, 205 pounds, turning all into lean and raw natural muscle. And of course, the dancing goddess army, complementary to the Dragan army, to be for purpose and pleasure to dance, organized dancing, and integrated with all, and to counterbalance the patriarchal sports leagues. I say patriarchal sports leagues of the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB, Major League Baseball, since my brothers, let's be honest, CEOs of the aforementioned teams of the NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. Let's be 100% honest, there's not even one women's sports league, which makes even close economically, financially, commercially, financially, economically, in an economic, financial, commercial matter. Not even close. One women's sports league. As a matter of fact, on this live stream, on this video, I'm going to say now, my brothers, give 10% to the women's sports league. Don't buy my shirt for $333. Just give 10% to the women's sports leagues. Will y'all do it? Will they do it? 10%. Come on, NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB. Women's sports league, soccer, gymnastics, 10%. Y'all make millions a year. You can give 10%. Out of 3,300,000, out of 10 million, 1 million. Y'all can give 10%, no? I know. What happening to my bro Colin Seed? I know. Money, right? 7 houses, 7 cars. You want to get an 8th one, yeah? I know. I'm not totally selfless. But I'm... With all the issues, the lusts, and the vices that I have, I'm not perfect. I'm clumsy sometimes. Clumsy sometimes. I had a problem changing a light bulb. I fight my own battles. If anybody wants to rap, freestyle, battle me, no problem. If anybody wants to tango, dance, battle dance me, I don't break dance, but I dance freestyle dance. Goddess bless dance steps. Yeah, I said goddess, mother nature, greatest artist and scientist. Or put boxing gloves on. My anonymous sister financed me the boxing gloves and have been for years challenging Donald Trump to a boxing match for world peace on the Canadian-US border. On the Canadian-US border. Still challenging Donald Trump. You know, Dragan's fists will make Trump's nose grow like Pinocchio. Yo. You know, Dragan's fists will make Trump's nose grow like Pinocchio. Yo. Sing that, Kanye, bro. You know, Dragan's fists will make Kanye's nose grow like Pinocchio's. Bro, Kanye, yo, sing that though. There's a little bit of rap lyrics. Still challenging Donald Trump to a sportsman-like boxing match. The U.S. I believe at this point in time, for my brothers and sisters in the USA, the Adrian Dragan spanks Congress. The Republicans with my right hand, the Democrats with my left. As this, I am a universal revolutionary centrist. For the collective North American civilization, I believe the implementation of my trinity of theories to create the 2 complementary, covenant and cooperative institutions. The Dragan army to be for security and service with the dancing goddess army, and officially international integrated dance league to be for pleasure and purpose for the environmental education and action. Some education about how to better compost, how to better recycling, and action to clean environments, to better compost individually and collectively, and education and action of the environmental nature and education. Me myself, I can compost better, compost every week, recycle better, can always do better recycling, and make sure that we have education so that we don't put the things that do not go in the recycling, that there's no putting of items that do not go in the recycling to put them in the recycling. Compost, do not put items that do not go in the compost. So compost, recycling, I do both here, and every week, and we have not missed 1 week since. Matter of fact, a few years ago, I have actually worked on the project of compost. So I have education and learning and self-education and practical education with organizations. I've been proposing organizations, and frustrations, disillusionment I've been through. Disillusionment, depression, suicidal. This is Adrian Dragan, yours truly now, with some brain and some muscle. It's what I believe firmly, with all the little imperfections and flaws of characters and the vices that do have. I do believe that at this point in time, my trinity of theories are best for their implementation, for the creation of the 2 complementary, covenant and cooperative institutions, in order to move forward and break the impasse and move. Because basically what I'm calling for, the implementation of my trinity of theories, the creation of the 2 complementary, covenant and cooperative institutions, in order to move towards a post-COVID economic, financial, commercial, social, philosophical, psychological, artistic, even social and spiritual system for pleasure and purpose. For pleasure and purpose, pleasure and purpose. There's like the dancing goddess has the purpose, environmental healing and Mother Nature, and attaining harmony between civilization and nature. While of course pleasure to dance for recreation and pleasure. And the Dragon Army to secure food, housing, and transport, secure food, housing, and transport, secure food, housing, and transport, public-private partnership, integrated, with all existing public and private institutions, secure the three essential elements of civilization, and afterwards work on the fourth dimension of services, and of course citizen integration theory, my theory applied via both the institutions of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, to fight alienation, for example, to see how the dams operate here in Quebec, to see how farming is done, to go to Dragon Army, to be on the floor, east, west, north, south, to see how farming is done, to see how the dams operate, to see how trains operate, to see how mines operate, to see all the things that connect and are part of our civilization, how theater operate, how movies are made, all these things, citizen integration theory with the Dragon Army and the Dancing Goddess Army, to allow citizens to go visit, for example, the recycling plants, the compost plants, and recycling and the garbage compactors. Where does the garbage go? How is it processed? How the recycling is processed to work? How the compost, to see all these things, how the farming is done, all this. Citizen integration theory to fight alienation. Since 1984, we have growing global corporate, globalized, corporate, financialized, technocratic system. Since 1984, we have a global corporatized, technocratic, financialized system. Since 1984, a global corporocracy, which is financialized and technocratic, has arisen since 1984. To balance it, I believe my trinity of theories are best at this point in time. For, like I said, Adrian, Dragan. Now we're going to do some reading, as it is 11 a.m. one more time. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers. For the eggs, for the onions, for the cucumbers, for the onions, for the eggs, for the cucumbers, for the onions and the eggs, and the butchers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, the bakers and the construction workers and the truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, truckers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, daycare workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, butchers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, daycare workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, compost workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, sanitation workers, cleaning workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, warehouse workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, train conductors. Thank you, love you, kiss you, bus drivers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, pilots. Thank you, love you, kiss you, dock workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those working in the docks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, those loading and unloading the trucks, and the farmers, butchers, nurses, doctors. Thank you, all general workers of the collective North American civilization, and yours truly, independent activist, athlete, artist, and for the many dimensions to that trinity of artist, athlete, activist, or athlete, activist, athlete in whatever order, AAA, androgynous pansexual, founder of the Dancing Goddess and the Dragon Kingdom, calling all willingly loving. It's 11:12 a.m. We're going to read about the Russian invasion of Ukraine. I am calling for an immediate ceasefire, my brothers and sisters. Implementation of my trinity, not just locally in the collective North American civilization, but of course for world peace. I understand we have different elements and crises and XYZ factors which are obstacles to world peace, and ensuring and securing freedom, which is a double-edged sword. I gotta admit, it's a double-edged sword. If you make $1 million on the stock market today, please give 10%. And my brothers, I say brothers in the Patriarchal Sports League, please give 10% to, you're gonna call live on Facebook, at 10% to the Women's Sports League. To the Women's Sports League, the 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine. As I'm calling for an immediate ceasefire and a cessation of hostilities worldwide, and the implementation of my theories for a new world order of world peace, international justice, security, and ensure global freedom and attain harmony between civilization and nature. Russian invasion of Ukraine. On the 24th of February 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine in a major escalation of the Russo-Ukraine War that began in 2014. The invasion caused Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II, since the Second World War, with around 6.7 million Ukrainians fleeing the country, and a third of the population displaced. The invasion also caused global food shortages. The invasion also caused global food shortages. The invasion also caused global food shortages. The invasion caused Europe's largest refugee crisis since the Second World War, with around 6.7 million Ukrainians fleeing the country and a third of the population displaced. The invasion also caused global food shortages. The invasion caused Europe's largest refugee crisis since the Second World War, with around 6.7 million Ukrainians fleeing the country and a third of the population displaced. The invasion also caused global food shortages. In 2014, Russia invaded and annexed Crimea, and Russia-backed separatists seized part of the Donbass region of southeastern Ukraine, consisting of Luhansk and Donetsk Oblast, sparking a regional war. In 2021, Russia began a large military buildup along its border with Ukraine, amassing up to 190,000 troops and their equipment. In a televised address shortly before the invasion, Russian President Vladimir Putin espoused irredentist views. Irredentism. Russian irredentism refers to irredentist claims to parts of the former Russian Empire and the former Soviet Union made for Russia. It seeks to incorporate Russians outside of Russian borders into the current Russian state. Russian irredentism refers to irredentist claims to parts of the former Russian Empire and the former Soviet Union made for Russia. It seeks to incorporate Russians outside of Russian borders into the current Russian state. Russian irredentism refers to irredentist claims to parts of the former Russian Empire and the former Soviet Union made for Russia. It seeks to incorporate Russians outside of Russian borders into the current Russian state. Challenge Ukraine's right to statehood and falsely claimed Ukraine was governed by neo-Nazis who persecuted ethnic Russian minority. On the 21st of February 2022, Russia recognized the Donetsk People's Republic and the Luhansk People's Republic, two self-proclaimed breakaway quasi-states in Donbass. The next day, the Federation Council of Russia authorized the use of military force, and Russian troops advanced on both territories. The invasion began on the morning of the February 24th of this year, when Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. The invasion began on the morning of 24th of February when Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. The invasion began on the morning of 24th of February when Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize and denazify Ukraine. Minutes later, missiles and airstrikes hit across Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv. Minutes later, missiles and airstrikes hit across Ukraine, including the capital of Kyiv. Minutes later, missiles and airstrikes hit across Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv. A large ground invasion followed from multiple directions. A large ground invasion followed from multiple directions. A large ground invasion followed from multiple directions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky enacted martial law and a general mobilization. Martial law is the imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to an emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed. Martial law is the imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to an emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed. Martial law is the imposition of direct military control of normal civil functions or suspension of civil law by a government, especially in response to an emergency where civil forces are overwhelmed. And a general mobilization. Mobilization is the act of assembling and raiding military troops and supplying for war. Of all male Ukrainian citizens between 18 and 60. Ukrainian involvement is enacted martial law and general mobilization of all male Ukrainian citizens between 18 and 60 who are banned from leaving the country. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky enacted martial law and a general mobilization of all male Ukrainians citizens between 18 and 60 who were banned from leaving the country. Russian attacks were initially launched on the northern front from Belarus towards Kyiv. During March, the Russian advance towards Kyiv stalled amidst heavy losses and strong Ukrainian resistance. Russian troops retreated from the oblast. The invasion has received widespread international condemnation. The invasion has received widespread international condemnation. The 2022 Russian invasion of Ukraine received widespread international condemnation, leading to new sanctions being imposed on Russia, consequently triggering a Russian financial crisis. So from what I do know, the Russian ruble has rebounded and is doing pretty well, and it seems that the financial crisis has eased paradoxically, paradoxically, that Russia has not have been has rebounded from the sanctions, Some claim even paradoxically that due to the oil that Germany and many European countries are not able to cut the oil, and recently, of course, it's announced that Russia reduced of the oil for like three quarters. Correction, if check 75% or so, and there's been the recent controversy over the turbine, and of course Germany, paradoxically, since the 90s, it has not happened since yesterday or last year or 7 years. It happened over 3 decades after the fall of the USSR and the reunification of Germany after the Berlin Wall fell in November 9, 1989, and consequently the socialist communism in Eastern Germany and Eastern Europe and Soviet Russia, for that matter, fell. And of course, since the 90s, Germany has imported oil from natural gas from Russia, so it happened over 30 years, the building of the pipelines for decades, and Germany's dependence on Russian oil and natural gas. The United Nations Assembly, and a lot of it, the rebounding has been due to the oil. Gas, of course, for example, has more than doubled. And in February 2020, when I had COVID and increasing hygiene in public and get vaccinated, and had COVID 3 times a few weeks ago and tested positive and isolated for about 11 days. Last year was more so-so. This year was mild. Last year was so-so. The first time, end of January 2020 until about mid-February, was very sickle and disease. It was like death, pestilence, and disease. I thought I was gonna die. In many ways, did die. Adrian H died during COVID, being reborn. Adrian Dragan, androgynous pansexual, founder of the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, here from Hawk Island, Montreal, calling all willingly living on this rainy day, 11:21 a.m. in the morning. If you make $1 million today or have made $1 million trading stocks on the stock market, buy, sell for it. Please give 10%, and multimillionaire artists, rappers living in gated communities give 10% for food security, and finance the farmers and the truckers and the good massage therapy, and calling on the government and millionaires and billionaires of Canada to finance the nurses a weekend off to go get a spa treatment, offer them to have massage therapy sessions and a weekend of recreation in any of the cities in collective North American civilization. All expenses paid for. That's what I'm calling for, is a practical action in parallel to all my other calls for action. Love is action, not blah blah. And Odessa. So the invasion has received widespread international condemnation. The United General Assembly passed a resolution condemning the invasion, demanding a full withdrawal of Russian forces. The International Court of Justice ordered Russia to suspend military operations, and the Council of Europe expelled Russia. Many countries imposed sanctions on Russia, which have affected economies of Russia and the world. So many countries impose sanctions on Russia, which have affected economies of Russia and the world. Many countries impose sanctions on Russia, which have affected the economies of Russia and the world, and provided humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine. Humanitarian. This is a list of known foreign aid, including military aid, humanitarian aid, and financial aid that has and will be provided to Ukraine during the Russia-Ukrainian War. Or maybe the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom, Adrian Dragan, will get that dollar donation, first dollar donation via PayPal by 3 o'clock p.m. If not, rent is paid and grateful, thankful. Electricity bill is paid and grateful, thankful. Gonna work out, train, exercise, invest in the body. Body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. Invest in the body. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. Invest in the body. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And gonna write poetry, songs, and take a bath. Gonna hydrate. Gonna write, philosophize, and work. A new CV, adding to that CV that Adrian Dragan is fully independent artist, activist, athlete, philosopher, geopolitical analyst, and theorist, spiritual teacher, and universal spiritual teaching student, because I'm learning every day, as put in more philosophical, artistic, athletic, spiritual, poetic work than all the leaders of NATO combined during COVID. A good reading from a piece of paper. I was Mr. Trudeau, Mr. Olaf Stolberg. I listened to yesterday in the news in Montreal. I was hoping, since I'm assuming that, unlike me this morning, you didn't have to cook breakfast this morning like I did on a budget, and that expenses were covered for the leaders of thy fry Welt. Make love tonight, otherwise what are we fighting to save for? If somebody's not making love now, kissing, hugging, making LOV, or this afternoon, kissing, hugging, making LOV, or tonight, what are we fighting to save the collective North American civilization for? To save freedom for? Ensure freedom from? Fight for freedom if somebody's not making love tonight. If somebody's not going to make love today, or tonight, or now, this morning, or this afternoon, or tonight. What are we fighting to save for? The stock market, buy, sell, trade, buy, sell, forex, make a million, stock trade, sell short, sell short, sell short. That's what we're fighting for. Saying free West Side, West freedom. Price of gas is doubled, man. Price of bacon is $9.99. Freedom, right? Hey, multi-millionaire athletes, you're getting another contract, 80 million, 20 million a year, man. These people are disconnected, man. They're gone. They're out of their minds. They live in different worlds. I know, money, right? Money. Well, everybody gotta eat, man. Everybody gotta eat. Can't eat the smartphone. Can't eat the smartphone. Don't try to eat a smartphone. Food prices increase, food price security. Even multi-millionaire athletes, NFL athletes, are gonna eat too, man. They're gonna be on the training field, gonna do hot, drill. Gotta do my workouts. Independent athlete, people's athlete. Can't do the workout. Try to do my workouts. That's my challenge. Just blah blah blah. Philosophy, yes, I can philosophize tens of thousands of sophisticated, cosmopolitan, verbose language that's overly sophisticated and intellectual, and perhaps will muddle, obfuscate solutions. I believe in cooperation and in complementary in a parallel way to other solutions. Some of my solutions and my solutions of the trinity of theories to be implemented are best at this point in time, at least across the collective North American civilization for which my policy is. Brothers and sisters, North America, l'Amérique du Nord, du Québec, on a deux océans, une frontière. We have one border, two oceans. One border, two oceans. We got two oceans, one border. That way, coast to coast, that way is the Pacific. That's west. West coast. That's the east coast. East coast, the Atlantic. Atlantic is that way. Pacific is that way. My right hand is towards the east, towards the Atlantic. My left hand is towards the west, towards the Pacific. My theories for the security, prosperity, and ensuring of freedom with some joy, because we also have a crisis, opium crisis, depression crisis, suicidal crises, mental health. Working out, training, exercises is great for mental health, and sometimes admitting certain hidden fears, hidden lusts, hidden things that we're dealing with to secure and ensure freedom. So I'm a philosopher, universal revolutionary centrist, and Scorpio independent psychological analyst and theorist, psychological analyst and theorist with my own dimensions of the lower emotions, of the more negative emotions, have experienced and can discuss about it, whether it is jealousies or sometimes little petty things, that makes us upset from the subconscious biases they exist, subconscious biases they exist, right? But my own healing required action
tens of thousands of push-ups, tens of thousands of squats, tens of thousands of hawks, marching steps by the millions, marched more than all the NATO generals combined. And to be back on the topic, my brother Justin Trudeau, my brother Olaf Scholz, Chancellor of Germany, Die Deutsche, was ist das, ein Montreal zu essen Sie, essen Sie Wein, Bruden, ja. My brother Justin and Olaf yesterday came in Montreal, gave a conference about the turbine and the XYZ. So you're reading a lot from a piece of paper. I'm assuming you don't have to worry about the cooking like I did cook this morning. My brother, could you please memorize a paragraph? Because you read 6 words, you look back up at the camera, go down, look down at the piece of paper, read another 6, look back at the camera, see another 6 words, and look back down, read another 6, see another 6. I'm not perfect. Got issues, got vices, got lust. But assuming that you didn't have to cook Justin Trudeau or leader of the free world, I cooked on a budget, good cooking on a budget. I'm gonna enjoy it very well later. Assuming all this, that you got all the taken care of the necessities, essentials, because eating is essential. Everybody gotta eat. Eating is essential. Everybody gotta eat. Assuming all this, please try to memorize some of that piece of paper, that page that somebody else wrote for you, most likely. And please, leaders of the free world, sometimes say I love you. Listen, during COVID, not even one prime minister, not even one president. I love you. I love you. Correction, send me the clip if somebody say I love you. Because to my allies and armies, by de facto, if you're an ally and army, pledge your allegiance, legions, pledge your allegiance, legions, pledge your allegiance, legions. Thou art de facto my family. Allies and armies, I love you, I love you, I love you. I want to love and be loved. Love is also action. Love is also doing action. My own healing will require action. Today as I'm healing some more, I'm going to do more push-ups. And I'm healing the mind now. Living proof of acquired savant syndrome and neuroplasticity by action. Living proof of neuroplasticity by action and acquired savant syndrome, both. Living proof of neuroplasticity by action and acquired savant syndrome. Many past lives, many incarnations. Paradoxically, I have more memories about past lives and incarnations than my childhood, my youth, my adolescence. I remember more the last 7, 8, 9, 10 years or so. And did struggle, been to depression, no longer. Depression's gone from me. Being suicidal, no longer. I'm gonna love and do and love and dance. And I want to see the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom and my willingly loving allies and armies healing. And my willingly loving allies and armies healing. My willingly loving allies and armies healing and be with joy, and ensure and secure freedom and move towards a post-COVID economic, financial, commercial, philosophical, political, social, even spiritual, psychological system for pleasure and purpose. That is what I'm advocating, calling for. So the many countries impose sanctions on Russia, which have affected the economies of Russia and the world, and provided humanitarian and military aid to Ukraine. Protests occurred around the world. Protests occurred around the world. Protests occurred around the world. Those in Russia were met with mass arrests and increased media censorship. Those in Russia were increased mass arrests and censorship. Those in Russia, foreign Russian invading credit, including a ban on the words war and invasion. The International Criminal Court. So the background goes to 1999 to the 90s, to the dissolution, of course, of the Soviet Union. In 2022, Putin refused offers from Zelensky to hold high-level talks. In 2022, Putin refused offers from Zelensky to hold high-level talks. In 2022, Putin refused offers from Zelensky to hold high-level talks, and the Russian government subsequently endorsed an article by former President Dmitry Medvedev, arguing it was pointless to deal with Ukraine while it remained a vassal of the US. The annexation of Crimea led to a new wave of Russian nationalism, with much of the Russian new imperial movement aspiring to annex more Ukrainian land, including the unrecognized Novossia. Analyst Vladimir Sokor argued that Putin's 2014 speech after the annexation of Crimea was a de facto manifesto of the greater Russia irredentism, which I've read before. In July 2021, Putin published an essay titled On the Historical Unity of Russians and Ukrainians. Is an essay by Vladimir Putin published on 12th of July 2021, reaffirming that Russians and Ukrainians were one people. July 2021, all Russian. July 2021, Putin published an essay titled On the Historical Unity of Russians and Ukrainians, reaffirming that Russians and Ukrainians were one people. In July 2021, Putin published an essay titled On the Historical Unity of Russians and Ukrainians, reaffirming that Russians and Ukrainians were one people. July 2021, Putin published an essay titled On the Historical Unity of Russians and Ukrainians, reaffirming that Russians and Ukrainians were one people. One people. All Russian nation, also known as the Pan-Russian nation or the Triune Russian nation, is an Imperial Russian and Russian irredentist ideology which seeks the Russian nation as comprising the three sub-nations Great Russians, Little Russians, and White Russians. American historian Timothy Snyder described Putin's ideas as imperialism. British journalist Edward Lucas described it as historical revisionism. In historiography, historical revisionism is the reinterpretation of a historical account. It usually involves challenging the orthodox views held by professional scholars about a historical event or time span or phenomenon, including contrary evidence or interpreting. Other observers have noted that the Russian leadership has a distorted view of modern Ukraine and its history. Russian military buildup. Russian military buildup. March 2021, February 2021, March and April 2021. Russia began a major military buildup near the Russo-Ukrainian border. Second buildup followed from October 2021 to February 2022 in both Russia and Belarus. Members of the Russian government repeatedly denied having plans to invade or attack Ukraine, including government spokesman Dmitry Peskov, November 28, 2022. Putin Chief National Security Advisor Nikolai Patrushev believed that the West had been in an undeclared war with Russia for years. Russia updated national security strategy, May 2021, said that Russia may use forceful methods to thwart or avert unfriendly actions that threaten the sovereignty and territorial integrity of the Russian Federation. Sources say the decision to invade Ukraine was made by Putin and a small group of war hawks in Putin's inner circle, including Patrushev and Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. When in early December 2021, Russia denied plans to invade, the US released intelligence, including satellite photographs of Russian troops in Ukraine near the Russia-Ukrainian border. Russian accusation on demands. In the months preceding the invasion, Russian officials accused Ukraine of Russophobia, inciting tensions and repressing Russian speakers in Ukraine. They also made multiple security demands of Ukraine. NATO and NATO allies in the UAE, commentators and Western officials described these as attempts to justify war. Russophobia is a first step toward genocide, Putin said on December 9, 2021. Putin claims about the denazification have been described as absurd. Russian claims of genocide were widely rejected as baseless. Gonna get a refill for the coffee. There's a whole speech on the Wikipedia. I'm gonna get a refill in this minute. maybe listening to the speech. This is the full speech there with a translation. There you go, a cup of coffee. We're gonna listen to it fully. So going from the Russian invasion of Ukraine, I am calling for a ceasefire immediately. Ceasefire immediately, ceasefire immediately. My brothers, brothers, ensure freedom and define freedom locally, nationally, internationally, and securing and ensure freedom with some joy and some love in actions. Let's move past and channel the aggression, channel the violence. Encourage mass financing of people to work out, train, exercise, volunteer, do work, and mass transit and mass mass tourism by the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom. So the whole article on the Russian invasion is at least a few hours of reading of a cup of coffee, if you will, to sponsor finance the whole Wikipedia reading. You can make an arrangement and we'll read it for a few hours. So now we're gonna go to the 2022 Older Environmental Disaster and calling all we need living to the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom and for environmental action, education and action to finance the dancing goddess army for environmental education and action, to finance the dancing goddess army for environmental action and education, to finance the dancing goddess army. 2022 Older ODR environmental disaster. During the summer of 2022, a mass mortality event involving fish, beavers, clams, crayfish, and other wildfire occurred in the Oder River. The Oder River. Oder River is a river in Central Europe. It is Poland's second longest river in total length and third longest within its border after the Vistula and Varta. The Oder rises in the Czech Republic and flows 742 kilometers through western Poland. Poland. Oder River, ODR. So it's a long river. The Central Europe. It is the Poland's second longest river in total length and third longest within its border after Vistula and Varta. The Oder rises in the Czech Republic and flows 742 kilometers through western Poland, later into a little bit of Germany. Central Poland's second longest river flows between Poland and Germany as part of the Oder nation line. Over 100 during the summer 2022, the Oder environmental disaster. During the summer of 2022, a mass mortality event involving fish, beavers, clams, crayfish, and other wildlife occurred in the Oder River. Over 100 tons, 98 long tons, 110 short tons, and of dead fish were removed from the Polish section of the river, and a further 35 tons, 35 long tons, 39 short tons from German sections, causing concern that the water was poisoned. During the summer 2022, a mass mortality event involving fish, beavers, clams, crayfish, and other wildlife occurred in the Oder River. Over 100 tons, 98 long tons, 110 short tons of dead fish were removed from the Polish section of the river, a further 35 tons, long tons, causing concern that the water was poisoned. While the cause is not yet clear, theories include the effects of the summer heat and lower water levels due to the European drought. So Europe has a drought now. Reduced oxygen levels due to the heat and nutrient loading, a spike in oxygen levels due to the introduction of an oxidizing agent, and pollution by chemicals including mercury, methylene, salt, or other sewage, as well as the possibility of algal bloom is a rapid increase or accumulation of the population of algae. The Polish authorities were slow to react, causing a scandal and resulting in the dismissals of officials responsible for water management and environmental protection. A reward of a million zlotsky, 210,000 US, 210,000 US dollars, a million zlotsky, which is the currency of Poland, of as of August 2022 of this year, or August 23rd now. So I'm reading this: for world peace, international justice, security, ensure global freedom, and attaining harmony between civilization and nature. Offered for information about possible culprits. The order flows through the city of Ottawa. So the date dates from July 2022 to the present. So it's a type of environmental disaster. So it really is an environmental disaster, and it's a research ongoing. So this odor environmental disaster or ecological disaster is defined as a catastrophic event regarding the natural environment that is due to human activity. Oh, my brothers and sisters, Dancing Goddess Army, we can do better to be on the floor. Mass finance, patriarchal sports leagues of North America, NFL, National Football League, NHL, National Hockey League, NBA, National Basketball Association, MLB. They're making CEOs multi-millionaires and multi-million-dollar contracts a year. You can mass finance the Dancing Goddess Army. Give 10% to the women's sports leagues. And of course, brothers again in Europe, you make soccer, Euro soccer leagues of England, of Spain, of Italy, of Germany, multi-millionaires by the many contracts. Give for the Dancing Goddess Army to mass finance, and also give 10% to European NATO member countries, Euro, women's sports and environmental research ongoing. So during the summer 2022, mass mortality event involving fish, beavers, clams, crayfish, and wild wildlife occurred in the Oder River. Over 100 tons of dead fish were removed from the Polish section of the river. 100 tons. 1 ton is 1,000 kilos. 1 ton is 1,000 kilos. 1 ton is 1,000 kilos. And a further 35 tons from German sections. This is just the fish, right? This is just the fish. So it's not just fish, but it's mostly fish, but also beavers, clams, crayfish, and other wildlife occurred in the Oder. Mass mortality in the Oder environmental disaster. So now, since on the drought, since there's a drought, the European drought, which supposedly caused the environmental riverage, in summer 2022, parts of Europe have experienced drought conditions exacerbated by heat waves. On August 9th, a senior European Commission researcher said it seems to be Europe's worst year in 500 years. So there's a Europe drought. 2022 European drought. So what is a drought? So it's suspected that the over-environmental disaster was caused by the drought, but it's still not clear. A drought is an event of prolonged shortages in the water supply, whether atmospheric, low average precipitation, surface water, or groundwater. A drought can last for months or years, or may be declared after as few as 15 days. It can have substantial impact on the ecosystem and agriculture or of the affected region, and cause harm to the local economy, which it does. And supposedly just yesterday was in the news about drought in China, and I gotta double check the information, but supposedly the Yangtze River dried up. Supposedly the Yangtze River dried up, or is drying up. The Yangtze, third biggest river in China, top in the world, is drying up. So I gotta check on that and check the news media if it's reported in other news media outlets. But if that's the case, that would be pretty drought causing the event in a hardcore drought. So drought, D-R-O-U-G-H-T, drought, is an event of prolonged shortages in the water supply, whether atmospheric, below average precipitation, surface water or groundwater. A drought can last for months or years, or may be declared after as few as 15 days. It can have a substantial impact on the ecosystem and agriculture of the affected region and cause harm to the local economy. Annual dry seasons in the tropics significantly increase in chances of drought developing and subsequent wildfires. Periods of heat can significantly worsen drought conditions. So drought is an event of prolonged shortages in the water supply, whether atmospheric below average precipitation, surface water, or groundwater. A drought can last for months or years, or may be declared after as few as 15 days. It can have a substantial impact on the ecosystem and agriculture of the affected region and cause harm to the local economy. Annual dry seasons in the tropics significantly increase the chances of a drought developing and subsequent wildfires. Periods of heat can significantly worsen drought conditions by hastening evaporations of water vapor. Drought is a recurring feature of the climate in most parts of the world. However, these regular droughts have become more extreme and more unpredictable due to climate change. So the droughts have been becoming more extreme and unpredictable due to climate change. Due to climate change, the droughts have been becoming more unpredictable and extreme. And the droughts cause a range of impacts, especially to farming. Droughts cause a range of impacts, especially to farming. Droughts cause because you need water to fertilize the black fertile earth, just as the sun is heating with the light and life and heat of the sun, which now is raining here in Montreal, Hawk Island. Thank goddess it's raining in Hawk Island, Montreal. Thank goddess it's raining in Hawk Island, Montreal. And I'm gonna do a special dancing goddess dance for rain, dance for rain, dance for rain later on. Fields outside. There's pictures of fields, the contraction or desiccation of cracks in the dry earth of the Samoan desert. Meteorological drought usually precedes other kinds of drought, so there are tend to define droughts in three main ways. Meteorological drought occurs when there is a prolonged time with less than average precipitation. Meteorological drought usually precedes the other kinds of drought. Agricultural droughts after crop production of or the ecology of the range. This condition can also arise independently from any change in precipitation levels when either increased irrigation or soil conditions or erosion triggered by poorly planned agricultural endeavors cause a shortfall in water available to the crops. However, a traditional drought, it is caused by an extended period of below average precipitation. Hydrological drought is brought about when the water reserves available in sources such as aquifers, lakes, and reservoirs fall below a locally significant threshold. Hydrological drought tends to show up more slowly because it involves stored water that is used but not replenished. Like an agricultural drought, this can be triggered by more than just the loss of rainfall. For instance, around 2007, Kazakhstan was awarded a large amount of money by the World Bank to restore water that had been diverted to other nations from the Ural Sea under Soviet rule. Similar circumstances also placed their largest lake, Baikal, at risk of completely drying out. As the drought persists, the conditions surrounding it gradually worsen and its impact on the local population gradually increases. So the causes are precipitation deficiency, meaning mechanism producing precipitation, basically rain, include consecutive straightform and orographic rainfall. So lots to learn here. Convective processes, the dry season and the seasons, erosion and human activities as well, of course, and climate change. Environmental and economic consequences can be common. Environmental and economic consequences of drought includes diminished crop growth or yield productions and carrying capacity for livestock, wildfires, dust bowls, dust storms, habitat damage, reduced electricity production due to reduced water flow through hydroelectric dams, snake migration, which results in snake bites. Is that so? Shortages of water for industrial uses. Exposure and oxidation of acid sulfate falling to surface in groundwater levels. Reduced water quality. Contamination. Snake migration, which results in snake bites. Wow. Snake migration, which results in snake bites. And with that, we are gonna wrap it up. Calling all willingly living again, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, farmers, farmers, farmers of the collective North American civilization, and thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, truckers, 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 thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, bakers, 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 thank you, love you, kiss you, IT workers, IT workers, IT workers, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, butchers, 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 and the bakers, and the cooks, and the cooks, and the cooks. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, construction workers and the dock workers and the warehouse workers and the bus drivers and the daycare workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, nurses and doctors and all those involved in the production and distribution of food and the cleaning workers, sanitation workers, those who pick up the garbage and the recycling and the compost of the city. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you, the nurses, the doctors, the farmers, the butchers, the bakers, and of course the bus drivers, the train conductors, the pilots, the dock workers, sanitation workers, firefighters. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Firefighters, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Firefighters, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. And of course, all general workers in production and distribution of food and grocery store clerks and those involved now making a sandwich or a bagel or a cheeseburgers or some fries or pouring a coffee to give to a trucker or lunch, preparing lunch to feed the children, or the farmers, the truckers, or sanitation workers, or the dock workers, and the firefighters. Thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Yours, independent philosopher, independent athlete, independent artist, independent activist, independent psychological analyst and theorist, and independent geopolitical analyst and theorist, the world's greatest living dancing millionaire rainbow poet, who's not perfect, far from it. This has been a special morning coffee session. Brains and brains, got some brain and some muscle, calling all willingly loving. And I'm gonna go eat some lunch and plug the phone and get ready. Later we're gonna do some workout, and you know, we worked the brain a little bit this morning. Gonna work out the We're live on Facebook and we are going to wrap it up.